Hey guys, welcome to today's Vehicle Visionary. Today my friends at Holmes Mercedes here in Shreveport, Louisiana have loaned me this 2020 Mercedes SL 450. And I really appreciate their kindness in doing so. Make sure to check out their website if you're in the market for any kind of a Mercedes vehicle. Of course, they have several different options at several different dealerships, not just Mercedes. I'll link all of that down in the description of the video. And we'll be going to other dealerships soon, such as Land Rover, Jaguar, and Volvo that Holmes also owns and operates. Of course, the SL 450, this is likely to be the last model of this particular generation that started in 2013. That was its debut year in the current level that you see it, with the way it looks and all of the different features, and there have been some upgrades over the years. What is coming? We'll have to wait and see, but I'm looking forward to it. One thing I have to say, this is one of the smoothest riding high-performance vehicles I have ever driven. It has great handling, great performance, and it doesn't come at the sacrifice of comfort. It's actually so smooth that the acceleration is a little bit deceptive based on how quick the car actually is. It's definitely not the fastest car on the road, and we'll talk about numbers when we open the hood in just a little while, but I always enjoy driving something that is fast but also comfortable. Not something you always get in this particular segment of vehicle. Before we talk performance, let's talk safety. The SL 450, featuring an exterior color of Selenite gray Magno, has a host of safety features including anti-whiplash front head restraints, brake assist, child sensing airbag, electronic stability, integrated rollover protection, security system, and traction control, to name a few of the safety features available. For a complete list, be sure to see the video description below. And the interior is the literal perfect combination of luxury and refinement. Very comfortable and very plush. And again, like I said, I can't wait to see what's coming with the next generation of the SL 450. And for a folding hardtop, as we're going to see in just a little while when we take a look at the trunk, there's actually still a reasonable amount of cargo space in the SL 450 when you lower the top. And here under the hood is the 3-liter V6, the biturbo V6, that's putting out 362 horsepower and 369 foot-pounds of torque. That is mated to an automatic 9-speed transmission, and the gas mileage is 20 miles per gallon in the city and 28 out on the highway. And as promised, we're going to take a look inside the trunk here, and I'm going to show you the interior space with the top up and with it down. And as you'll see, there is a reasonable amount of space available even when the top is down. There are 3 different ways to gain access to the trunk. There is a button right here just above the license plate, and it's going to automatically open on its own. You also have the remote that will open and close the trunk for you, as well as an interior button just on the inside of the driver's side door. Now, as you can tell, when you open the trunk and the top is down, everything is going to neatly automatically fold out of your way. It's going to raise up, giving you access to whatever you have in the trunk. And if the top is up, this is how much space you have. I'll put the actual numbers on the screen. And here's something that's really nice. You do have the ability to, if you want to really see this, how much space you have, you can push this little button over on the left-hand side, and it will actually put everything back down in place and kind of show you how much space you have down there. Just makes it a little bit easier if you wanted to put that back down or just see, well, what can I fit in there? Kind of in an almost experimental mode of sorts. At least that's the way I would put it. And to close the trunk, you have 2 different buttons up here on the top for 2 different options. If you just want to close the trunk itself but not lock the interior doors, that's the button on the left-hand side. But if you push this button on the right-hand side with the lock on it, it's going to lower the trunk and lock the doors at the same time. Not a bad little feature. And just a real quick note on the fuel door that is found here on the passenger side of the SL 450. You don't have to go looking for any buttons on the interior, anything like that. It's just as simple as you just push it, and it's going to automatically open on its own once you do that. No capless fuel fill. There's actually a fuel cap here that you will have to twist off. And again, that's something that I've noticed that there are varying opinions about that. Some people like the capless fuel fill. Some people like to have a cap that they can take on and off. But here's the good news. When you lock the doors for the SL450, it also locks the fuel door right here. So that's not just there available for people to come and try and steal your gas or whatever the case may be. Just another added safety feature that I say is a definite home run. And I'd like to see this on more cars, because believe me guys, I've reviewed cars in the past. I'm not going to say who they were made by, but you could not lock the fuel door, and it had capless fuel fill. Now there are ways around that. There is actually 2 baffles to keep that from being a problem. A different subject for a different time, but just something I like. I think this should be standard on all vehicles, especially when you have capless fuel fill. Okay guys, let's take a quick look at the interior. And like I said, it's very plush, very comfortable. It's just set up like you would expect of a Mercedes, and I'm very interested to see what the next generation of the SL450 not only offers on the interior, but obviously everywhere else as well. I like just the whole layout. None of the materials in here are cheap. Even though it may not be carbon fiber and real wood and all of that kind of stuff, everything in here is really high-end, high quality, good sturdy leather. The pieces in the interior that are plastic are very well made. They're not cheap. You know, when you knock on it, it doesn't sound cheap, and I like that fact. The driver and passenger side seats have multiple seat memory settings, so depending on who's driving and or riding, they can get the seat back to where they want it. You can obviously adjust the steering wheel. You can adjust anything you want, really. The entire car is adjustable through the infotainment screen. Of course, you can change what mode you're driving in, the suspension settings, all that good stuff. So many different things. I'm not going to take the time to go through each little detail of that, but trust me, there's plenty there to suit your driving habits and desires. Nice, easy to read instrument cluster. You do have digital and analog gauges available. Here in the middle, you can have a digital speedometer if you want that, and go through all kinds of different settings and see what's going on with your SL450 via the controls here on the steering wheel. Steering wheel mounted controls. You can answer and hang up on phone calls, adjust the radio volume, do all that kind of stuff. Everything you're used to basically having. And the steering wheel itself, I must say, is very comfortable. Steering wheel mounted paddles, of course, shifter paddles. If you want to use those, you have Sport and Sport Plus modes available. And here on the dashboard, you do have the infotainment screen. Maybe that'll be a little bit bigger in the next generation. Like I say, this particular model has been around since 2013, so I guarantee you that's going to change. It'll probably look more like the more modern S-Class, AMGs, all that kind of thing, where you have a larger screen here on the center of the dashboard. You can operate everything either through the infotainment system. You can do it with buttons and switches here, dials and everything from the air conditioner, the radio. You can adjust the air that's flowing and where it's flowing from and all that kind of stuff. Do have a couple of cup holders here, two that are in the back here behind me, one right here in the front as well, and that can be concealed away, as you can see right now. I like the way this little shifter looks. That just looks racy. I think it really fits what this car is about. And you do have the auto start stop function, and I want to mention 2 things about that. The obvious is that you have the button right here behind the shifter on the right hand side that you can just turn that off if you want to. But if you find that you haven't turned it off, or if for some reason you don't know where that switch is, and this works, I've found this to work on any vehicle with that start-stop function, where you come to a stop, the engine stops running in an effort to save fuel, and then starts up again when you take your foot off the brake and push the gas pedal. When you're coming to a stop, if you just tap the brake pedal a couple of times, I've discovered that the engine will keep running. Even if you haven't pushed this start-stop off button right here, or the on-off button, whatever you want to call that, Now, I haven't tried that on a vehicle that doesn't have the option to turn it off, so I don't know if it'll work on those. Next time I get my hands on something like that, I will definitely find out and let all of you know. So, here in the center console, I like how everything is concealed. It's kind of hidden away until you're ready to use it. And you push the button here and the two sides to the center console open up. And something that's kind of funny here, again, kind of dates this car a little bit. It looks like what is a little cell phone holder in there, and there is no cell phone in this day and age that I think would fit in there. And you do have two USB ports right there. So if you're looking for the USB ports, they are located here in the center console. And right here, just above and to the right of the center console, just forward of the center console, are the switches for lowering and raising the top, letting the windows down. You can do that right here, and everything's really self-explanatory. It's very easy to use. And if you don't want to use the top, maybe it's a rainy day or it's kind of cool, and we'll talk about how you can actually get around that. If you've ever noticed a lot of people driving these cars around when it's pretty chilly outside with the tops down, and you're thinking, how are they doing that? If you're not aware, I'm going to show you how they're doing that in just a minute, but let me finish this point first. There is a sunroof above as well, so when you're driving down the road and you want to just open that, there is a shade you can pull back, but you don't have to actually let the top itself down. Now, take a look on the headrest of these seats. They're air conditioning vents right there. You can actually have warm air blowing out from those. You could bring the windows up if you wanted to. There actually is another screen right back here that comes up as well. And you actually would be able to stay rather warm if you wanted to drive around with the top down when it's kind of cool outside. So an interesting option, and ultimately answering the question of how people are able to do that when it's really cold. I've seen people doing that in the 30s and the 40s and wondered, how are they comfortable? Now I know, and so do you. Okay, obviously we're out on the road with the SL450. You know, what more can I say than what I've already said? It's a super comfortable ride. You can adjust everything you want to. The steering can be tuned basically to be as responsive as you want it to be. And I like the overall feel of this particular steering wheel. Depending on where you want to place your hands, you know, it doesn't seem to matter. They're going to be comfortable. I like just the generalized layout. Everything's easy to get to. If it's a new car to you, remembering where everything is not going to take long. It's not overloaded, even though there's a lot of nice technology here in this car. It's not overloaded. And yeah, I just have to say, my favorite thing about this is how incredibly smooth this ride is. This has to be one of the most comfortable cars of any sort that I think I've been in. Just knowing the fact that so many of these roads here in Northwest Louisiana are definitely not in the best shape, well, to be able to drive around and enjoy a very smooth ride, not something you would normally get. And that will bring to a close my time with the 2020 SL450. I'd like to thank my friends at Holmes Mercedes for loaning me this car for the day. It has been a lot of fun to drive. And all of you for taking the time to watch. If you haven't taken the time to subscribe yet, please make sure to subscribe to Vehicle Visionary and click the like button on this video. That is super helpful to me. Leave a comment and let me know that you were here, and tell me what vehicles you would like to see me use in future videos on Vehicle Visionary. And I will see you in my next video.